Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back for what may be an unpopular video to the channel. This is going to be a YouTube video specifically on Cosmos Atom. Before I get into telling you and showing you why I believe the price has actually topped out and is now going to start to make its way back down to the lows that we saw in June, so $5.50 round about there, and actually could trade below it, it's important for me to stress that just because I think in the short term, Atom's price is going to see further downside and continuation in this broader bear trend, it doesn't change just how much of a fan I am of this project. I am very, very bullish. Recently, we mentioned it in some altcoins that we'd be picking up during this bear market. And I've done deep dives on Atom, what it is, how it works. We even covered Atom 2.0, the proposal, and said that actually there's some really bullish and cool features that this is going to bring to Cosmos and its ecosystem. But I do believe that you essentially topped out here at around about $17. It did amazing. From June's low, it pretty much outperformed most other altcoins, if not all, barring a few other altcoins. And I do believe this was the kind of end of the rally, and that in actual fact, Atom is on its way down. We're going to be doing a number of things in this video. We're going to be looking at it technically. We are going to be talking about Cosmos generally, because, you know, just because I'm bearish on the price doesn't mean that I am bearish on the long-term trajectory of the project. I've been in crypto for a very long time, and it's refreshing when I, get projects like Cosmos or Polkadot or some of the other projects out there that are really doing blockchain differently. We know that Atom or Cosmos is essentially Atom, pardon me, is the token. Cosmos essentially is the kind of layer zero that essentially enables people to come on, and instead of with your typical layer ones that allow you to build a dApp, what Cosmos essentially does is allows people to facilitate their own blockchains, with it being the kind of consensus layer. The layer zero consensus layer might not be the way to references, and it really is truly different and revolutionary in nature. People often forget that Luna, which got to $30 billion in terms of market cap, see if we can find it here on the map of zones, was indeed a built on top of Cosmos, a Cosmos SDK essentially that used Tendermint. And I think that lots of the blockchains that are being built on top of Cosmos are actually going to do phenomenally. And what you're finding now is a lot of the TERRA developers are moving to chains built on top of Cosmos, like Juno, and so on and so forth. And there's actually funds to help those individuals sort of port over and build elsewhere within the Cosmos ecosystem, because it's very, very important. A blockchain a lot of blockchain value comes from the people working on it, the developers. And I think Cosmos has an amazing, developer community. It has amazing sort of social community, and so on and so forth. But I do genuinely believe, and I'm going to be explaining why in this video, that we are going to see, and we've already started to short this and been shorting it pretty accurately from, I think the first short that we got into was around about $15.50. We're not trying to swing this. We have other swings that we do that we're looking at that are going to be an easier swing to the downside than Cosmos. The reason being is because, a lot of this move to the upside, in actual fact, was caused by shorts getting liquidated and actually having to, their stops getting hit or just outright getting liquidated and becoming forced buyers. People were very confident and overly aggressively, in my opinion, shorting this and in absolutely melted faces. And like I say, really from those June lows, I think Bitcoin went up 44% before coming down to the high. Atom was nearly up 200% from down here. So it's shown immense strength. The reason for this video, I think, really was looking on Twitter. I'm not sure how many of these are bots or they're just people like myself that actually believe in Atom. But the issue, I think, is there's this kind of, you all see it, if they're not going to buy Atom here, they're going to have to buy it at $100 or $40 or whatever it is. It is my opinion, and it is only an opinion, it is not advice, that you are going to get Cosmos at a real discount. You're going to get it at more than half of what it currently is today, ladies and gentlemen. That does not mean that I'm bearish on the project in terms of the, as a project. I'm just bearish on the price. I'm bearish on crypto full stop. You know, you guys know, and we cover it daily. My daily cryptocurrency market updates are well worth a watch. We have targets for Bitcoin at around about 13,800. And I think that if Bitcoin goes that way and potentially loses 25% of its value, it is very likely that Cosmos is going to follow and actually not, you know, it might try and swim against the tide, and it has kind of done that to a degree, and we've seen it grow in terms of dominance, and we're going to pull up the dominance chart because it's really one reason I actually think, and this is a chart that they don't want to see, because what we're going to do is actually overlay Atom's price, and you can see whenever you have this climb in dominance, Atom's price goes with it. It gets, you know, very aggressive. But once it tops out, usually it will retrace the move that it's just made. And we're going to show you that. So I guess this video was really made to kind of combat all the people that are just expecting Atom to do its own thing and go off into a sort of raging bull market and straight back to new all-time highs. Now, do I think Atom's going to ever see, you know, $40 again, $45 again? Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think that that's going to be until there's a further flushing out of liquidity from the cryptocurrency market. You guys know that we cover every single day the macro situation. It's becoming a bit of a meme now, but we've been doing it really and really started to alert people to it since Bitcoin was around about 44K. Even if this was the bottom, you know, happy days for us. We've doubled, quadrupled, you know, in some cases 10x'd our crypto holdings in terms of spot. So we're not really fussed whether this is the bottom or it isn't. I don't have necessarily a dog in this fight. My sort of, I guess, bias is that we are yet to see further downside, and I don't think that Atom is going to escape that. And that's regardless of how amazing it is fundamentally and how it's really changing and in some cases revolutionizing how we do blockchain. They're a very philosophical bunch, the Cosmonauts, and I love that about them. You know, they're kind of. I've watched crypto evolve. I've watched Bitcoin, then I watched your sort of second generation Ethereum come around as a result of looking at Bitcoin and saying, let's add this extra level of capabilities to this underlying amazing revolutionary technology, and it really is blockchain. And then I've watched, you know, your sort of third generations that have sort of built from Ethereum, gone, let's do this in a different way. And I really do believe Cosmos is that third, if not potentially fourth generation. I think a lot of third generation is sort of proof of stake, moving away from the second generation proof of work. You could almost say that Cosmos and the likes of Polkadot are, you know, almost these fourth generations. It's why I'm so bullish on it. It's so important for me to stress just how bullish long-term, keyword days long-term, I am on these projects. I just think short-term, you know, there is pain to be had. And I think it doesn't really have a lot to do with Atom as an individual project, more the fact that markets are and price is reached through buyers and sellers. And I think you're going to have an overwhelming number of sellers, potentially forced sellers during this downturn, and certainly something with quite a high inflationary model. I believe a lot of its ecosystem projects, which we are going to be picking up, and we're going to be doing more videos on these during the bear market, are also going to see that further downside. Certainly the ones that have like 200% APY, as we see forced sellers, you know, have to get liquidity to potentially pay their mortgage, which has gone up, or you know, their food bill, or whatever it may be. I really do think we are entering a pretty harsh recessionary environment. And for those of you that want to know more about that, make sure you go and watch my daily cryptocurrency market update. So what I really want to do is I want to take a look at Atom dominance. And since June, so the cryptocurrency market really put in its low here in June. And we actually had a candle close at 19,169. Since then, we've actually had a new close. So we put in a new low in terms of a close. All those bottom callers, for all intensive purposes, were wrong. They've been wrong the whole way down. We didn't get how this year started right. We were very bullish at the start of the year, and then had to pivot our narrative as we got kind of new information coming to light. So we definitely haven't called everything right, but we've, you know, done quite well. And essentially, since this bottom, you've really seen the dominance. So out of cryptocurrency market as a whole, you've really seen Atom's dominance really come into its own. Now, this chart is an issue, and I'm going to show you why. Because I think we're about to rinse and repeat. Just overlaid the same charts there. Exactly what happens every time you get this kind of a market share gain for Atom. I think you're going to retrace not only in market dominance as the kind of hype fades. We've had a lot of the hype already, and like I say, I guess this video is really in combatants to all these, you know, Atom to $100 by the end of the year, and you know, get in now or it's going to be too late. I'm basically here to say that I don't believe you need to buy Atom here, and that I'm personally not, but I will be at a lower price. And I could be totally wrong, and I may have to get in a higher price. Just here to explain the reasons why. So this is the market cap dominance for Atom. So out of the entire cryptocurrency market, when this goes up, it means its dominance, its percentage of the overall market in terms of market cap and how much share it has is going up. And this chart, like I say, is a problem. And I'm going to show you why. What we're going to do, and there's a huge correlation here, and it's a correlation that you can't understate, is we're going to overlay. It's not that clear, but we'll probably put this in red and we'll thicken it up. Every time, and you can even see here, so every time you get, you know, we can really just go back through Atom's history, right? You can see that the market dominance for Atom absolutely shot up. Okay, so did the price, but the problem that you had is once that topped, it largely retraced the entire move. Now, by the way, guys, I've watched Atom for a long time. It really only came to life at the start of last year, in my opinion, and in actual fact, I think it was only towards the end of last year, so 2021, that it really gained popularity and notoriety. I think before that, it was really just developers, and it was people that understood the technology, and even myself was largely blind to just how amazing this blockchain is. And I do genuinely believe that. I'm not just saying that because I'm kind of here saying I think the price is going to go down. I do genuinely believe in the long-term vision and how these guys are doing blockchain. I think they've already done absolutely amazingly. We have 41 zones, or for lack of a better word, individual blockchains that all have their own specific capabilities, lots of them. You want to think of everything built on top of Atom as an Ethereum, or a Solana. Solana is probably a bad analogy, but these are all really capable layer one blockchains. Most of them you can build smart contracts on, and they're all going to have their own ecosystems, and they've all got Atom in common. You know, the tokenomics for Atom are extremely bullish, in my opinion. Go and watch my video on Atom 2.0 explaining what it is, because I don't really feel like many people had exactly, you know, they'd kind of, we're used to like Ethereum 2.0, which was where Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake, or the Cardano Vasil hard fork, which is where, you know, the chain hard fork, whereas really with Cosmos, it was 2.0. It was more of a proposal, and there was lots of bullish features within that proposal, like the inflationary model and how it, you know, rapidly deteriorates over time rather than this kind of high inflation model, which would be very good, you know, also, you know, really emphasized rather than Cosmos 1, focused on this ecosystem and building it, you know, Tendermint, SDKs, whereas Atom 2.0 really is focused also on the ecosystem, but largely on Atom as a token and the role that it plays. So back to the point here. So this is market dominance, and it's key really. The recent history is really key, but you can see that there's a huge correlation here really from the start. You can see it grows in terms of dominance, and then it tops out in terms of dominance. The price follows. Okay. Same thing happened over here. You go on a run for dominance, price follows. Remember, price is in the red, dominance is the actual Japanese candlestick chart. And then dominance tops out. Price actually it can either lag or lead. You know, dominance comes back down. Price does the same thing. Again, over here, as a more recent example, 2021, dominance excels, starts to fade out and starts to die off, and then comes back down in terms of dominance. Price follows. And of course, they're going to be correlated. This is looking at market cap. But what I'm trying to say is it saw a lot of strength. A lot of that has been kind of hype driven with the what took place in Medellin, with, you know, everybody's kind of waking up to Atom and, oh, this is an amazing blockchain and it's had this really good run and 200% up from the bottom, and that causes FOMO. The problem is what ends up happening is that trade has often been took at the bottom by bigger players and people who are in the know and are savvy, and in some cases developers. I don't know in Atom's specific case, but I've seen that take place on other blockchains. The problem is that what ends up happening is and what we'll do actually is we'll look at the volume at the top here. Typically, it's retail that gets stuck buying at $15, $17. You know, they end up FOMOing in and getting dumped on by the kind of smarter money, if you will. Not to call anybody that bought at that price unsmart. I just think there's wider context to, you know, the cryptocurrency market and where it's at, and the fact that we're in a liquidity destructive, wealth decimating sort of economic landscape that is, crypto isn't going to escape from. And we did actually a very long video. I think it was about 26 minutes long yesterday, talking about where we are in, looking at Bitcoin specifically, and the fact that we're in this kind of danger zone before we see that next capitulation to the downside. I do think we're in a kind of 2018 style. So you can see again, looking at the Japanese candle chart, you get this real rally up in terms of market dominance. Price, of course, follows, and then you get this spill to the downside, and the price follows. Again, same thing took place here. I had like a double peak sort of price action. Same thing. And you can see dominance goes up, price goes up, dominance come down. What does the price do? What's happening today, ladies and gentlemen? And the price, of course, is in the red sort of thicker line, and then you've got your candlesticks, is you've seen dominance absolutely rally. And now, in my opinion, top out and look to make further downside. The price is going to go with it. These are exceptionally correlated, and this makes me think that Atom, it doesn't have to retrace all the way back down to $5. I just believe that it is going to, and I think you are potentially going to get the opportunity to buy Atom at sub $5. I will be taking that opportunity. Whether you guys choose to do so is entirely your decision. You're all adults. You can make your own mind up. And maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm not fussed if we are. We just have to get in at a bit of a higher price. But I can't see Atom completely swimming against the tide here if the likes of Bitcoin is seeing further continuation, actually potentially capitulation, if the stock market is crashing, if the dollar is really strong because your other FX markets and emerging markets are falling off, even if the likes of gold and silver are selling off, I can't see Atom really swimming against that tide and sticking its middle finger up. I actually think, those kind of situations, sellers really become in control. And I honestly think that, where are we wrong here, by the way, in this thesis? Because it's not one-sided, this. Just because we believe that, or we, on balance of probability, think that something's going to happen, there's no guarantee of that whatsoever. This is markets. As a day trader, we're wrong all the time. You just hope that you're right more than you're wrong. If we ran this, good night, Irene. We're wrong. If you come back here and you break through this and you hold this and you run these highs, I'm wrong. You'll see that Bitcoin will do that. Bitcoin, and we'll have to kind of come up and run this sort of 25K. We'd largely be wrong, and we'd largely, we can kind of go, okay, scrap this. Let's take a look and see where else we're going. But until that happens, we do ultimately envision further downside. And looking at the dominance chart, I do think that it's largely leading, and that we are going to see that further capitulation. I think this is going to come down. I think you're going to end up, why did we bounce here, first of all? Let's put it on log. Well, you had key support here. So when you're looking at a chart from an investment point of view, or even a trading point of view, if you're looking to long something, just as, or be a spot buyer of something, and you have one chart that goes like this, or sorry, not goes like that. If you have a chart like this, and something's consolidating, it's grinding up, and then it sees its first little head higher, or a chart like this, where you have all this price action to the downside, and then it's kind of consolidating, and then it's sort of popping its head up. Maybe you've got indicators that you're looking at, whether it's an EMA or whatever. You're going to want to buy this chart over this chart, and the reason being is because of the resistance that you have here. So it's natural, whether you go up or down, that you find resistance and support, and this has very much acted as support. The real issue that I have is for now. So what happens if this breaks? Doesn't have to happen. You can see what the price action has largely been like under this level. It's been very fast momentum, and almost illiquid. And just to make that point that I wanted to, and maybe I'm totally wrong here, look at where your volume occurred. So the problem is, in this entire up move, this is volume by price, you're actually below the point of control in terms of volume. So we actually took a short here, by the way, that we're out of. We didn't even wait to get filled, just because Atom has shown a lot of strength. And I know when, we have a bullish day for crypto, it will do well. And I think that has a lot to do with the kind of hype that's behind it, and that hype is totally warranted, guys. I'm just here to say, from a purely technical and price perspective, it's going lower, in my opinion. You know, apologies if that's upset you. I just think that that's the case. The issue is, if you've got all your volume here, and this is your kind of point of control of volume, you know, you're now below it. That means there's going to be pain, likely forced sellers, and further continuation. So I ultimately think that Atom's coming down. Doesn't have to do. I think it's an amazing project. It has a great team, great community, and a great developer community base. But I think largely, you know, we've seen fundamentals get flung out the window and really liquidity take over. You know, buyers and markets are just how you reach your prices via buyers and sellers. The market goes up when you have more buyers than sellers, and it goes down when you have more sellers than buyers. We are going into an environment, in my humble opinion, that the sellers are going to be in control. And the reason being is because there's simply going to be more of them than there are buyers. It is not appetizing for... there was an institutional report that said, look, we'll take the risk on Atom because we think it's going to 140 or something. I can't quite remember what it was. But that's few and far between. You're not going to get institutions FOMOing in here, because they have to dance to the macro beat, and that says be out of risk right now. Crypto is still a very risky asset. Ultimately, if Bitcoin comes down, it's going to bring the altcoins with it. I don't think Atom's going to swim against that stream. I think it's had its kind of peaking in terms of market dominance. That's usually led by continuation to the downside. You know, you're likely going to bounce here. Get rid of this. You're likely going to bounce here. Okay, maybe do something like that. And maybe it takes a lot longer to bleed out. But ultimately, you know, I do think, and I do have targets that take you back down to $5. And we'll likely be a buyer somewhere down, you know, it's somewhere here, potentially, depending on how it looks. We could be totally wrong. Maybe it does something like this. You know, it smashes this high and then sees that continuation. I just don't think that's a very probable situation at all. And I'm ultimately, as somebody who is a real, you know, who is really bullish on Atom long term, I'm looking for buy opportunities that I don't believe are yet. And this video, like I say, was to really combat a lot of the kind of bullish rhetoric that's been thrown around. In terms of price, every reason to be bullish on the project. We've spent quite a lot of time emphasizing that in this video. But in terms of the price, you know, I think it's going to largely dance to the same beat as everything else. And we're going to see that further downside continuation potentially. That is all I've got for you in this video. Any altcoins you guys want me to cover? Certainly ones that I've done a lot of looking into and I'm on board with largely. Let me know in the comment section. We will try and cover them. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So as a comment, potentially not what people want to hear, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what I see. You can disagree with it. That's totally fine. I have no sort of beef with that whatsoever. And you can let me know in the comment sections. If you've enjoyed the content, like is always appreciated. So as a comment, see you in the next video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching.